Hello everyone, welcome. Thank you for joining. Okay. Sorry, I'm scrambling a little bit. Thank you for your patience. Shout out to Peely. Thank you for being here. Shout out to, excuse me. Shout out to Natalia. Shout out to Kamoya. Shout out to Capybara. Shout out to Sharky. Shout out to Deleza. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to, write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Excuse me. Shout out to Ari. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Omar. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Holden. Shout out to Billy. Shout out to Amia. Shout out to Armani. Shout out to Addie. Shout out to Valerie. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Axel. Shout out to Gianna. Shout out to Jessica. Shout out to Maggie. Thank you, Darcy Flynn. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Darcy Flynn. Shout out to Kate Nicely. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Kate Nicely. Shout out to Deshira. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to James. Shout out to Alexa. Oh, Desire. Thank you for showing me how to pronounce your name. Shout out to Shakia or Shakaya. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Bang Chan. Shout out to Cora. Shout out to Valentina. Shout out to Melly. Shout out to Chase. Shout out to, sorry, Tasha Stager. Thank you so much, Tasha. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Tasha Stager. Shout out to Alize. Shout out to Marjorie. Shout out to Jane. Shout out to Summer. Shout out to Ashton. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to Zamir. Shout out to Addie Lucas. Shout out to Logan. Shout out to Princeton. Shout out to Annalise. Shout out to Truan. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Salome. Shout out to Snowy. Shout out to Briella. Shout out to Samantha. Shout out to Lexi. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Alessia. Shout out to Jalen. Shout out to Everly. Shout out to Rory. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Colby. Shout out to Amaya. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Chelsea. Shout out to Antonella. Shout out to Jace. Shout out to Ellie. Shout out to Chelsea. Shout out to Daphne. Shout out to Rhea. Shout out to Harper. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Give me 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Thank you for your patience. Shout out to Gracelyn. Shout out to Fernanda. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Brianna. Shout out to Jennifer. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Jeremiah. Shout out to Bethany. Shout out to Paul. Shout out to Jess. Shout out to Amor. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Rory. Shout out to Ali. Shout out to Frank Ortiz. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Frank Ortiz. Shout out to Nori. Shout out to Maddie. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Keely. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Aaliyah. Shout out to Michelle. Shout out to Michael. Shout out to Finley. Shout out to Angeline. Shout out to Jackson. Shout out to Emery. Shout out to these people. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. I live stream every day around the same time as right now. I also post other content. I hope you can check it out and support as well. Shout out to Julia. Shout out to Gianna. Shout out to Araya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Emery. Let's see. Shout out to Marcus. Shout out to Cadence. Shout out to Autumn. Shout out to Zulay. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Brian. Shout out to Jalen. Shout out to Heidi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Nathan. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Everett. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to AJ. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to Alessia. Shout out to Let's See Mokisa. No, what is it? Let's see, Pomakisa. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. I'm so sorry if I messed up your name. Shout out to Let's see, Pomakisa. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Julie. Shout out to Cody. Shout out to Samara. Shout out to Tanya. Thank you for subscribing. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Shout out to Val. Shout out to Denisa. Or Denisu, sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Teddy, thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Maddie, thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Iker. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Jace. Sorry. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Serenity. Shout out to Kingsley. Shout out to Addison. Shout out to Walker. Shout out to Ashley. Shout out to Lila. Shout out to Millie Bon Jovi. Shout out to Layla. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Wyatt. Shout out to Shakia, or Shakaya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Ellen. Gidi. Shout out to Kanisha. Shout out to Gracie. Shout out to Rosa. Shout out to Ariel or Ariel. Shout out to Caroline. Shout out to Ethan. Shout out to Sanu. Shout out to Sniper. Shout out to Yuritsa. Shout out to Mila. Shout out to Kata. Shout out to Amu. Shout out to Milo. Shout out to Brandon. Thank you for your support. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Augie. Shout out to Bree. Shout out to Mickey. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Audrey. Shout out to Natasha. Shout out to Yaretsi. Shout out to Natasha. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Kaylee. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Shout out to Ava. Shout out to Violet. Shout out to Jeffy. Shout out to Kasim. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Micaiah. Oh wait, what was it? No, it was Micah. Sorry, Micah. Shout out to Micah. Shout out to Joseph. Shout out to Jefferson. Shout out to Easton. Shout out to Koraya. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Levi. Happy birthday. Shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Annabelle. Shout out to Anastasia. Or Anastasia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Amaris. Shout out to Helma. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to William. Shout out to Jacob. Shout out to Tina. Shout out to Justin. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Ruby. Shout out to Han Jinsu. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Sienna. Shout out to Mel. Shout out to Sophia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Fred. Shout out to Delaney. Shout out to Itzel. Shout out to these people. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for your patience. I truly appreciate it. On to the next page. Thank you for being here. Write your name in the chat if you want me to shout you out. Shout out to Brittany. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Natalia. Shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Irlanda. Whoopsie, I messed up. There we go. Shout out to Evelyn. Shout out to Brooks. Shout out to Hallie. Shout out to Lucy. Shout out to Preston. Shout out to Noah Schnapp. Whoops, I forgot how to spell his name. Oh no. I think it's like this. Shout out to Charlie. Shout out to Annalise. Shout out to Sabrina. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to Goinya. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Ariel. Shout out to Leanna. Shout out to Cherry. Shout out to Waylin. Shout out to Jasmeli. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Tinsley. Shout out to Emery. Shout out to Rylan. Shout out to Stephanie. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Melina. Shout out to Aitana. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the live stream. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Zariah. Shout out to Bella. Shout out to Dorothy. Shout out to Kimmy. Shout out to Mila. Shout out to Gabriel. Shout out to Navy. Shout out to Shanice. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Gracelyn. Shout out to Alyssa. Shout out to Nala. Shout out to Freya. Shout out to Danny. Shout out to Cheyenne. Shout out to Violet. Shout out to Coco. Shout out to Gabby. Shout out to Laura. Whoops, why'd I put a J? Shout out to Jersey. Shout out to Laura. Shout out to Zuliana. Shout out to Noah. Shout out to Bradley. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Callie. Shout out to Ajax. Shout out to Brock. Shout out to Reagan. Shout out to Blake. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to Joanne. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Erling. Shout out to Camellia. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Brit Cat. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Summer. Shout out to Aria. Oh wait, I just put Aria. Shout out to Camila. Shout out to Oliver. Shout out to Gracie. Shout out to Ada. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Isaiah. Shout out to Winner. Shout out to Jason. Shout out to Bristol. Shout out to Nick. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Aria, I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Uriah or Uriah. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Amina. Shout out to Nolan. Shout out to Macy. Shout out to Braxton. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Presley. Shout out to Vivian. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Nevaeh. Shout out to Vonnie. Shout out to Nyla or Neela. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Naomi. Shout out to Renz Daniel Reyes. Shout out to Legend. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Swaisty. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Brooklyn. Shout out to Mila. Shout out to Sandy. Shout out to Dustin. Shout out to Flower. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to Belle. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you for being here. I truly appreciate it. Whoopsie. Please like and subscribe. I live stream every day around the same time as this time. Thank you so much for being here. It means a lot to me. Shout out to Jolene. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Harper. Shout out to Athena. Shout out to Michaela. Shout out to Kiyumi or Kayumi. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Antoine. Antone. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Gloria. Shout out to Sakobi. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Diana. Shout out to Sammy. Shout out to Matrix. Shout out to Kentrell. Or Kentrell. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Arzu. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Cielo. Shout out to Hayden. Shout out to Ariana. Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to Veronica. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to Paris. Shout out to Naeem. Shout out to Sahila. Shout out to Marley. Shout out to Nala. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Archu or Arku. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Pedro. Shout out to Avery. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Gabby. Shout out to David. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Enzo. Shout out to Jennifer. Shout out to Greta. Shout out to Koishi. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Tony or Tawny. Shout out to Peranza. Shout out to John. Shout out to Clyde. Shout out to 17 Yaretsi. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. 17 Yaretsi. Shout out to 17 Yaretsi. Shout out to Nevea. Shout out to Jamia. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Elizabeth. Shout out to Jamal. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Annalise. Shout out to Timmy. Shout out to, is it Aria or Araya? I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Kylie. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Shalini. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to Holly. Shout out to Ruby. Shout out to Sienna. Shout out to Myra. Shout out to Vanessa. Shout out to Halo. Shout out to Collins. Shout out to Daniel. Shout out to Lihara. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Amid. Shout out to Sasha. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to Alistair. Shout out to Sakobi. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Riley. Shout out to Allison. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Shylin. Shout out to Joshua. Shout out to Isabella. Thank you so much for your support. I truly appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. Shout out to Maddie. Shout out to Natalie. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Thank you so much for being here. Shout out to Val. Shout out to Karen. Shout out to Melanie. Shout out to Benji. Shout out to Brooke. Give me 1 minute. I will be right back. Thank you so much for your patience. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Shadow. Shout out to Parker. Shout out to Tinsley. Shout out to Alize. Shout out to Emery. Shout out to Carolina. Shout out to Harani. Shout out to Sailor. Shout out to Zay. Shout out to Esther. Shout out to Kenley. Shout out to Mia. Shout out to Amare. Thank you so much for stopping by. Shout out to Nina. Shout out to Nova. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Rhea. Shout out to Maria. Shout out to Denver. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Thank you so much for being here, everyone. I truly appreciate it. Please like and subscribe. I live stream every day around the same time as this. I also post other content. I hope you can check it out and subscribe and support as well. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Solar. Shout out to Carson. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Maria. Shout out to Ella. Shout out to Ritaj. Shout out to, is it Mitchell? Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Venus. Shout out to Cielo. Shout out to Sophia. Shout out to Izzy. Shout out to Clara. Shout out to Milani. Sorry, not Milani, Milian. Sorry, I read it. Miliani, there we go. Shout out to Miliani. Shout out to Emma, thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Abigail. Shout out to Sitlali. Shout out to Layton. Shout out to Mahi. Shout out to Mackenzie. Shout out to Evan. Shout out to Akira. Thank you for subscribing. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Delilah. Shout out to Amy Heron. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Amy Heron. Shout out to Lesme Espinal. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Lesme Espinal. Shout out to Will. Shout out to Ava. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Raylan. Shout out to Enrique. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Aubrey. Shout out to Azriel. Shout out to Yuna. Shout out to Legend. Shout out to Lainey. Shout out to Achilles. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Maya. Shout out to Leo. Shout out to Marilyn. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Lily. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Shakaria. Shakaria. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Reed. Shout out to Colston. Shout out to Matthew. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Noemi. Shout out to Luna. Shout out to TJ. Shout out to Leslie. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Freya. Shout out to Raina. Shout out to Mabry. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Real Boss. Shout out to Karen. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Matt. Shout out to Brooklyn. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Zara. Shout out to Marley. Shout out to Sabrina. Shout out to Aixa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Zeke. Shout out to Jenna. Shout out to Tina. Shout out to Leah. Shout out to Emily. Shout out to Tinsley. Shout Shout out to JC. Shout out to Patience. Shout out to Luis. Shout out to Lillian. Shout out to Alyssa Cortez. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Alyssa Cortez. Shout out to Cruz. Shout out to Lorraine. Shout out to Omar. Shout out to Phenexia. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Rydia or Rydia. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Chloe. Shout out to Elaine. Shout out to Yasmin. Shout out to Laura. Shout out to Layla. Shout out to Addison. Shout out to Claire. Shout out to Haley. Shout out to Halen. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Mela. Thank you so much for your support. Shout out to Ezra. Shout out to Beatrice. Shout out to Rosalinda. Shout out to Evie. Shout out to Asia. Shout out to Journey. Shout out to Anna. Shout out to Ryuki. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Cassandra. Shout out to Erica Bering. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Erica Bering. Shout out to Samia or Samia or Samaya. I'm so sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Sarah. Shout out to Cambry. Shout out to Katie. Shout out to Lexi. Shout out to Rose. Shout out to Nyla or Neela. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Zayden. Shout out to Itsayani. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to these people. On to the next page. Thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the shout outs. I live stream every day around the same time as this. I hope you can support and by subscribing or leaving a like around the live stream or around other content that I post. Please check out my channel. I would truly appreciate it. Shout out to Samira. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Gavin. Shout out to Antoine. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Olivia. Shout out to Zoe. Shout out to Alina. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Shyam. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Alan. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out to Dylan. Shout out to Athena. Shout out to Ashley. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Adriana. Shout out to Alonso. Shout out to Prayson. Shout out to Catalina. Shout out to Raylan. Shout out to Julia. Shout out to Emma. Shout out to Lily. Shout out to Priscilla. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Eli. Shout out to Root. Shout out to Aixa. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Aisha. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Justice. Shout out to Jared. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Sadie. Shout out to Jaylene. Shout out to Legend. Shout out to Alana. Shout out to Fernanda. Shout out to Kaden. Shout out to Jaden. Shout out to William. Shout out to Draven. Shout out to Peyton. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Mavis. Shout out to Serenity. Shout out to Sam. Shout out to Nadia. Or Nadia. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to Isabella. Shout out to Elena. Oh no, I think I spelled your name wrong. Oh yeah, I did. I'm so sorry. Shout out to Elena. There we go. Shout out to Savannah. Shout out to Angel. Leave a like if you're enjoying the live stream. Shout out to Selena. Shout out to Angelina. Shout out to Huyu. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Julian. Shout out to Drene. Shout out to Becky. Shout out to Leilani. Shout out to Larissa. Shout out to Donna. Or Dana, sorry. Shout out to Kennedy. Shout out to Nevea. Shout out to Miles. Shout out to Tinsley. Shout out to Aria. Shout out to Daphne. Shout out to Leanna. Shout out to Courtney. Shout out to Nixon. Shout out to Fatima. Shout out to Otto. Shout out to Sophia. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Sehaj. Shout out to Leo. Shout out to Jason in Scotland. Shout out to Daniela. Shout out to Janice. Shout out to Kata. Shout out to Chris. Shout out to Grace. Shout out to Hudson. Shout out to Christopher. Shout out to Brandon. Shout out to Neil. Shout out to Stella. Shout out to Renata. Shout out to Lexi. Shout out to Wilson. Shout out to Juliana. Shout out to Isla. Shout out to Ruby. Shout out to Ainsley. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Daisy. Shout out to Selena. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Nick. Shout out to Darlene. Thank you for subscribing. Shout out to Indica. Shout out to Kiana. Shout out to Kaylee. Shout out to Jamie. Shout out to Amelia. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Giovanni. Shout out to Giovanni Martin. Thank you so much. Shout out to Paisley. Shout out to Doug. Shout out to Robin. Shout out to Otto. Shout out to Fur. Shout out to Leilani. Shout out to Caitlin. Shout out to Malia. Shout out to Addison Walker. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it. Shout out to Addison Walker. Shout out to Cameo. Sorry if I mispronounce your name. Shout out to Louisa. Shout out to Dallas. Shout out to Jay. Shout out to Molly. Shout out to Lana. Shout out to Jay. Oh, I just put Jay. Shout out to Egypt. Shout out to Amy. Shout out to Lou. Shout out to Ella. Shout out to Jade. Shout out to these people. Thank you everyone for being here. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the live streams. I live stream every day. Shout out to Egypt, I got you. Thank you so much for being here. I will see you all next time. Take care everyone. Bye.